This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. And for today's show, we're going to be starting off with the weekend recap, talking about the new lit Cavs, talking about how the players the Cavs traded away did this weekend. Olympics just started up too, so we'll talk a bit about that. I know it's still early and not too many gold medals have been handed out, but we'll give a little Olympic talk for the first segment also, and pretty much talk about anything else that happened over the weekend. Then we'll go over some NFL stuff, talk about Colts getting their new head coach. There's questions about whether or not, whether this new guy that they hired, the offensive coordinator from Philly, is a better hire than Josh McDaniels would have been. So we'll talk a bit about that and pretty much just talk about the whole basis of it. And we'll talk a little bit about the Patriots too. Lane Johnson on a different podcast during an interview said that, he said that, I can't remember the exact quote, so I'm going to have to look at it before we start that segment, but he said something about how New England's organization is more fear-based. Yeah, he said it was fear-based, and he said something along the lines that he'd rather have fun and win one Super Bowl than pretty much not have fun at the job and win 5 or something like that. To double check it, make sure it's all correct, but we'll be talking about that. And then for the last segment, as we always do, we'll be making my picks for the NBA games going on tonight and pretty much talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. All right, got some Champions League going on today as of right now, live as I'm recording this podcast. Juventus is up 2-1 on Tottenham in about the 65th minute, so we'll be talking about that game. It should be over by the time we reach that last segment, so we'll get into that too. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend. So over the weekend, the Cavs' new players that they got finally played. All right, you had, George Hill's the one who got the start in this one, and then Cedi Osman filled in from the bench as the starting 3-guard, or I guess you could say 4, depending on where LeBron was playing. But nonetheless, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood came off the bench. All right, and the Cavs simply destroyed the Celtics in this one. All right, Cavs won this one 121-99. For the Cavs, you had LeBron with 24 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Osman, with his first start, he had 12 points. Second start, I should say. He started Thursday against the Hawks last week. He had 12 points. 5 rebounds, shot 4 of 8. Tristan Thompson, played 27 minutes in this one, only had 6 points, 4 rebounds. George Hill, in his first start with the Cavs, had 12 points, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 8. J.R. Smith had a nice little shooting game, 15 points, 6 of 7 shooting, 3 of 4 from the three-point line, 6 rebounds there. Off the bench, you had Larry Nance Jr. with 5 points, 4 rebounds, shot 2 of 5. Jordan Clarkson had a nice little game here, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, shot 7 of 11, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Then you had Rodney Hood with 15 points, shot 6 of 11 and 3 of 6 from the three-point line. As for those Celtics, not a great game from them. You had Kyrie Irving, who started off the first half hot and pretty much cooled it off as the game went on. He finished the game with 18 points, shot 7 of 14, 1 of 7 from the three-point line. Really hasn't been shooting too well from the three-point line these last few games if you've been paying attention. All right, Marcus Morris, he had 17 points, only 3 rebounds, shot 6 of 12, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. He's been a nice little addition for them this season. Al Horford only had 9 points in this one, did have 6 rebounds and 6 assists though. Jason Tatum, not a great shooting night, only 9 points, shot 4 of 11. Jaylen Brown, really nowhere to be found. He had 5 points, 7 rebounds, shot 2 of 9, 0 of 5 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, nothing really notable except for Terry Rozier with 21 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 6 of 15, and 3 of 8 from the three-point line. So like I said, the Cavs won that one 121-99. Pretty much did whatever they wanted against this Boston Celtics team. And, this new Cavs team, I don't want to, be a prisoner of the moment and say, oh yeah, that's the team to beat now in the East, because before that, I get the majority of people were thinking Boston, even though LeBron was still on the Cavs, all right, with that Isaiah Thomas team on the Cavs, it just really wasn't working out well. And now with this team, it looks like they finally, with LeBron, let me put it this way, with LeBron, you have to bring players that play to him. All right, they know that LeBron is the best player on that team. They know that he's what's going to make it work. So you have to play to his strengths and pretty much get out the way. If he wants you to have the ball, you can have the ball. If not, like I said, just get out the way. All right, that's why Kyrie didn't really work there, and neither did Isaiah Thomas. And we're going to talk about Isaiah Thomas a little later in this segment. All right, but Kyrie Irving, he never really he wanted out of Cleveland because of the fact that, I mean, you can't have two alphas on one team. All right, Kyrie Irving wanted to be the top guy, wanted to lead a team, and you're never going to do that with LeBron on your team. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, let's say LeBron leaves after this year to a team like the Lakers, boom, LeBron's already the top guy there. All right, goes to Houston, LeBron's going to be the leader and the top guy there. I mean, you could think that James Harden is better than him, and it is James Harden's team, but that's not going to be the case. I mean, it doesn't matter on ability. It's just LeBron commands that type of respect right there if he goes to a certain team. And even with the Spurs, I mean, they got Kawhi there, but the team's going to be revolving around LeBron because LeBron is the best player in the world. And like I said, just he does have like that alpha mentality there where, you know what, he's the leader, he's the guy on the team. So you can't really go past that. I think Isaiah Thomas never really worked with the Celtics because Isaiah Thomas was coming off of one of the best seasons ever in Celtics history as far as scoring. And he was the leader of that team. So you go to a team like the Cavs where there's a completely different culture and pretty much players are acting different. And it's going to be a little weird. That's why he was calling them out and pretty much holding everyone accountable. And I think that's why LeBron didn't really like it because of the fact that, you know, it's LeBron's team. Let him handle it all. And then, like I said, Isaiah Thomas was just there for like a month, and he's already out here calling people out. So it didn't really work out there. But like I said, I mean, as far as Jordan Clarkson and all those guys go, they play well off of LeBron, all right? Those aren't guys that are going to try and take up the spotlight. They don't need to get a bunch of shots up or anything like that. They're going to be just fine the way they are. So it worked out really well against the Celtics. And I understand the whole now people want to put the Cavs as the number one team in the East, say they're coming out of the East, going to be playing the Warriors in the finals, and I completely get that, but I feel it's more just prisoner of the moment type stuff. I say let the Cavs build up more consistent performances, and if they continue to play this well, then yeah, for sure, they're the best team in the East, all right? Because like I said, with the Celtics, I mean, the Celtics are a good team. All right, I think they started off 16-2, and then ever since then, I think their record is 24-16, so, I mean, they really have fallen off a bit. And one of their biggest problems, and it's been the last couple of seasons when they had Isaiah Thomas, is there's no real scorer after Kyrie Irving, all right? Jason Tatum has played well, but he's a rookie, all right? And he's going to hit the rookie wall from time to time. Jaylen Brown just isn't as consistent as you'd like him to be as far as shooting the ball. You got Terry Rozier coming off the bench, but I mean, he's more leaving the second unit. You're going to need a guy in crunch time to play alongside Kyrie Irving to where pretty much you need a guy like Gordon Hayward, obviously, all right? As we know, Gordon Hayward broke his ankle in the first game of the season, and I think that's what Boston is missing right now. They're missing Gordon Hayward, all right? Obviously, Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens had a plan to where they'd make it work with those two, and they weren't really going to have the need of, they weren't going to have the problem of needing a second scorer because you were going to be playing with Hayward and Irving, and that just hasn't been the case so far this season. And the Celtics, I know a few fans were mad at the fact that the Celtics didn't trade for a guy like Tyreek Evans or didn't get anyone that got bought out. I mean, Joe Johnson's heading to Houston, and then Marco Bellinelli's in Philly. So, I mean, the Celtics pretty much didn't trade for a rental like Tyreek Evans, and I get why Danny Ainge didn't do that. All right, because Danny Ainge has never been one to give up a first-round pick for a rental, and I get that he's sticking to the plan and that works. But I mean, eventually you got to go out and try to win it. And I mean, it's kind of weird as far as the Celtics go because no one's beaten the Warriors this year. But, I mean, you got to go out and show that, you know what, you're actually trying. And like I said, I mean, unless Hayward comes back at the end of the season, and let's say Hayward does come back, I mean, I'm not even sure how well he's going to be playing because he's coming off of a big ankle injury. All right, not sure if he'd be running it with the first team or coming out with the second team and Terry Rozier. But nonetheless, I mean, they do need that second scorer. So maybe it's just one of those we'll wait till next year type things for the Celtics. But I feel like they've been doing that for the last, I mean, they have been rebuilding since 2012. And I don't think you can really consider them rebuilding anymore because of the fact that they're so good and near the top of the East already. So I guess they're just trying to put the finishing touches on it. And I guess that's what Gordon Hayward is. So maybe it's just more of you need patience, all right? You just got to be patient as far as the Celtics and pretty much like a wait till it all works out, all right? And I know it's been a while for them, but the Celtics just I don't think they're there yet, if that makes any sense, all right? Yeah, they're a top team in the East. All right, we're the top team in the East last year for the regular season. Obviously, the Cavs made it out to the finals last year, but I think that they're on the brink of it. All right, they're Gordon Hayward away from being the best team in the East and one of the best teams in the league. All right, and they do compete with the best teams in the league. I mean, they beat the Warriors once, played a really good game with them the second time. They beat the Rockets, they beat the Thunder. All right, they beat the Cavs once, and let's see if they beat anyone else. I think they beat the Spurs once too. So I mean, they've hung around and beat some of the best teams in the league. So it's pretty much just like I said, just a wait and see type of thing. But like I said, going back to the Cavs, I mean, that might be a dangerous team as far as Clarkson, Hood, Nance, and George Hill. All right, their defense, you could tell already off the first game that their defense got better. Okay, they played a whole lot better. And, I mean, like I said, it's just one game, so I'm just basing all of this off of the Celtics game on Sunday. They're playing tonight against the Thunder, and we're going to be talking about that in the last segment. But nonetheless, I mean, the Cavs look good. When they first made these moves, I didn't think that they were really good. They're going to help them so much in the playoffs because you have really no playoff experience on that team. Let me see right here. I mean, you got guys like George Hill's been in the playoffs before. Obviously, LeBron James has been there ever since his career started, it feels like. All right, Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, they've won championships. All right, but then you got Larry Nance, Jeff Green, Jordan Clarkson, Calderon Hood. Korver's been there before. So, I mean, you got a few guys, but nonetheless, I mean, this is a really inexperienced team when it comes to the playoffs, and I thought that maybe that would hurt them, but again, like I said, try not to be a prisoner of the moment, but they did look really good against the Celtics, all right? But how did the people that were traded away from the Cavs look this weekend, all right? They look pretty good, let's be honest, all right? This trade that went down, the trade that went down might have been best for everybody, and I mean, look at you have Isaiah Thomas with the Lakers, all right? Played 31 minutes, I think scored 22 points, 6 assists, shot 7 of 12, and was out there in crunch time too. Played pretty much the entire fourth quarter, I think from the 10th minute of the fourth quarter until the end. And IT's biggest problem is that the guy's never going to be able to play defense. All right, that's one thing we have to accept with him as a player. Yeah, he was really good in Boston. Yeah, he had one of the best offensive scoring seasons in the history of the Celtics, but he doesn't play defense, and that's where you need a guy like Brad Stevens to pretty much drop a game plan to where you hide Isaiah Thomas on the defensive side, and it really doesn't hurt you too much, because if you were watching that Lakers game on Saturday versus the Mavericks, I mean, all the Mavericks did every time Isaiah Thomas was playing defense was run screens and have bigger guys, him switch to bigger guys. I mean, you had him on guys like Dirk, they had him on guys like Powell, and honestly, like, IT compared to that Mavericks team looks like he was playing against a bunch of giants. It was ridiculous. But nonetheless, I mean, he did play well with the Lakers, and that team flowed pretty well too. I mean, especially for a guy just coming in and playing that much, they flowed extremely well. Right? Didn't get in the way of Brandon Ingram, didn't get in the way of Kyle Kuzma or anything like that. They all played well off of each other. So it was really interesting to see them play as a team. I mean, they played fast, and Isaiah Thomas after the game said he felt like he got his powers back. So maybe this is going to be a nice little different start for him. So we'll see how it all ends up for him. As for Dwayne Wade, first game back in Miami in 2 years, I think? Yeah, 2 years. I mean, if you're counting, yeah, he left Miami to go to Chicago, I forgot. But yeah, 2 years. And against the Bucks, he went 1 for 6, hit a 3, finished with 3 points in that game. But, I mean, he did have really big time block towards the end of the game, all right? Eric Bledsoe with 2 minutes left, I think it was, is driving down the court. I think it's 85-81, the heater up. And sure enough, Dwayne Wade probably, I think he's got some weird stat, like the most blocks for a player under 6'3 or 6'4, I think. Something like that. I think he's got the most blocks as a shooting guard too. And like I said, he's not even chasing down. He's playing solid defense with Eric Bledsoe trying to drive down on him. Eric Bledsoe goes up for the layup and Wade blocks it. Someone else gets the rebound, gives it up to Wade, and then they foul him. And, I mean, the Heat won that game. So it was a nice little sentimental type thing for the Miami Heat. As far as Dwayne Wade's fit with the Heat, I mean, he's not going to be a guy who's going to be coming into the starting lineup, starting for them. I mean, he's going to be more the veteran on that team, going to have to pretty much find his role and not get in the way of what they're doing because of the fact that this is a team, I think they are the 7th seed currently in the East, and they're only a few games back on the 4th seed too. So, I mean, they're competing for some, and Dwayne Wade pretty much, he's past his prime, obviously, not the player he once was, so he's pretty much going to have to figure out a way to fit in with them and go along with what they're doing. It's no longer Dwayne Wade's team, all right? But like I said, he's pretty much got to fit in and find his role. As far as Jay Crowder, he had his first game with the Jazz on Sunday, I believe, and he played well off the bench. Had 15 points, I think around 3 or 4 rebounds, can't remember exactly. And the Jazz team that he's playing on right now is similar to the Celtics team, all right? They play a lot of team ball, play off of each other, and no one really tries to play ISO or anything like that. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is your best player, but nonetheless, like I said, they still play good team ball, and they're very unselfish too. So I think Jay Crowder is going to fit in very well with that team, all right? Derrick Rose got bought out on Sunday, I believe it was, by the Jazz, and I think he's going to be heading over to Minnesota. I know Minnesota Timberwolves fans wanted Tyus Jones to be getting more minutes, but I mean, if Thibodeau's bringing in Derrick Rose, that only means one thing. He's bringing in Derrick Rose to be the backup point guard. Derrick Rose is going to be getting those Tyus Jones minutes. So, I mean, fans are going to be mad at Tom Thibodeau, but he wants that old Bulls team there. I mean, you got Jimmy Butler and Taj Gibson already. exciting. It's going to be interesting to see how Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose work out, all right? Because obviously it didn't really work out too well in Chicago. That's where it happened right there. You had two alphas, and they really weren't trying to relinquish that little leadership top player role on that team. So we'll see how it all ends up. Let's see. Channing Frye is with the Lakers too. I don't think he played at all in that game against the Mavericks. Am I missing anyone else that got traded? Oh yeah, Iman Shumpert. All right. Ended up in Sacramento, the worst place in the NBA you could end up. All right. I'm not sure why NBA players hate Sacramento so much. I mean, I live here. I think it's a fine little city. But for some reason, I mean, NBA players hate Sacramento. They hate it. All right. And again, I don't know why, but there's just something about it. So poor Iman Shumpert probably got the worst part of the deal out of anyone that got traded away. All right. Isaiah Thomas goes to a young team that likes to play Isaiah Thomas type of style. Jay Crowder's going to a team that was like the Celtics last year, going to fit in there. Derrick Rose is going to a playoff team. Channing Frye is pretty much going to fill into that leadership role with the Lakers, pretty much be their veteran type guy right there. And I feel like I'm missing someone else, but nonetheless, Iman Shumpert, I mean, going to Sacramento, team's not really playing for anything, not really going in any certain direction. I mean, they're trying to get younger and trying to develop and pretty much rebuild, but they feel like they've been doing that since, 2006. So, I mean, Iman Shumpert's pretty much just got to play through it and then go somewhere else after this season, I think. I'm not even sure what his contract is looking like, but nonetheless, poor guy there. All right, so that's pretty much all that happened over the weekend. Obviously, it's very basketball heavy now that the NFL has ended, all right? And the MLB really hasn't been heating up too much on the hot stove, as far as what I mean by that is like free agents getting signed and all that. But we had the Olympics, all right? I haven't really been paying all the attention in the world to the Olympics, but I've been checking in on it, all right? It was a 17-year-old snowboarder, American snowboarder, Korean American, if you want to get technical, Chloe Kim. Won gold for snowboarding 4 years ago, was too young to be competing in the Olympics. And like I said, I mean, she's a 17-year-old winning a gold as far as snowboarding. I mean, younger than my little brother, and the dude's like, what, 18? So, I mean, it's just crazy to see how these, like, I'm 21 right now. It's crazy to see all these athletes getting younger and younger, and pretty much, I guess that's for, like, how the old people feel. Not old, but you know what I mean, as far as watching all these college players and people getting drafted now. I mean, it's just different to see. And then you got Shaun White. I think he's like 48 years old or something like that. Won the qualifier for snowboarding for the men's, and I mean, pretty much going for that gold again. People are acting like he's an underdog, but I mean, it's Shaun White. The dude's been crazy as far as being a snowboarder in the Olympics. Dude wins everything. Plus, he's a nice little skateboarder too when the summer comes up, I think, too. So we'll see how the Olympics play out. Again, it's early, not too many competitions. A lot of it's just qualifiers and pretty much different stuff going on. So as the Olympics go on, we'll talk more about it. But that's all I got to say for this weekend recap. Next up, we're going to be talking some football. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. In that first segment, we spent it doing the weekend recap. All right, talked about pretty much the New-Look Cavs, talked about how well they played against the Celtics, talked about how the Celtics just probably just aren't there yet as far as being the top team in the East. Again, we have a lot of the season left to go. I mean, talking about the rest of the second half of the season and then playoffs. So, I mean, it really, things could change. Gordon Hayward could come back. I mean, we'll see about it. But nonetheless, Cavs look really good. Jordan Clarkson looked good. Rodney Hood looked good. George Hill played a nice little role for that team, starting as a point guard. And then Larry Nance, I mean, he's a young guy, so he's only going to get better. As far as Isaiah Thomas and those guys, I mean, like I said, I feel like the trade worked out for all of them. So, I mean, I guess it's the best thing for everybody. And talked a bit about the Olympics, too. Talked about Chloe Kim being 17-year-old snowboarder, winning the gold. Talked about Shaun White, the old man out here, still dominating too. So we'll see how it all ends up as the Olympics play on. I can't wait for the hockey part of it to start. I know that the NHL pretty much cut their players from going to the Olympics. So it's going to be a bunch of like pretty much young guys, prospects playing in the Olympics. But it's going to be interesting to see. Probably going to see teams like Russia start dominating because, I mean, Russia, hockey's like religion out there for them, I feel. So we'll see how it all ends up. Again, can't wait for the hockey to start in the Olympics. So that's probably the best part of it. For being honest here, I mean, I know not everyone's a hockey fan, but just me personally, I like the hockey part of the Winter Olympics. All right, but let's get into the NFL. So a little background, just a reminder. All right, Colts at one time looked like they were going to be hiring Josh McDaniels as their coach, as their head coach, I should say. All right, sent out a tweet. It's official. Josh McDaniels is the new Indianapolis Colts head coach. Press conference set for Wednesday, which was last week, I believe. And in a good old Patriot fashion, or Josh McDaniels fashion, whatever you want to call it, Josh McDaniels says, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go back to New England. So the Colts pulled a fast one here, or Josh McDaniels pulled a fast one, and, I mean, it just didn't work out well. Okay, so now, what do we do? What do the Colts do? The Colts, they hire Frank Reich, the Eagles offensive coordinator. And now, you got analysis, a writer saying that the Colts ended up getting the better hire because they took Reich. And I'm not really sure too much where I stand on this little issue, right? Because Josh McDaniels, I feel, is regarded as one of the best offensive coordinators in the game, okay? And I guess you could say now Frank Reich was also one of the best offensive coordinators in the game, all right? Because this Eagles offense was putting up points big time. It's not like the Eagles were just riding on defense the entire time or anything like that, or just Doug Peterson. No, I mean, remember when Carson Wentz was out there? This team was putting up 30 points a game, it felt like. So, I mean, Frank Reich was doing a good job out there. And one thing I like, too, about Frank Reich, what he said in his little press conference was that there'll be a multiple attack, up-tempo type offense. They'll be aggressive. Again, we're not sure what the Colts are going to do in the draft, but multiple attack, up-tempo, that kind of sounds like, hey, we're going to be drafting a certain rookie running back, or obviously he's going to be a rookie running back. We're going to be drafting a certain running back with our third pick. Maybe they pick up a guy like Saquon Barkley in the draft. That would be nice for the Colts. That would be a smart move for the Colts. All right, I understand that maybe they're going to go towards Bradley Chubb, the D-end out of NC State, I believe. And, I mean, the Colts' defense has been bad since. I mean, forever long, whenever Peyton Manning got drafted, I mean, they've been terrible. All right. So, I mean, I'd understand drafting a DM, but you draft a guy like Saquon Barkley and have luck out there. You don't need luck to be throwing the ball 60 times a game, all right? Going to save that shoulder a bit. You could hand the ball off to Barkley about 15 to 20 times a game. That would work out for the Colts. I honestly think that would be the best option for them there, drafting Saquon Barkley. I don't think they're going to do it, but actually, you know what? I'm not sure if I think they're going to do it now because of the fact that you got Reich saying that they're going to run a multiple attack up-tempo offense. I mean, multiple attack has to mean, yeah, we're going to be running and passing the ball, right? I mean, multiple attack doesn't mean we're going to be throwing the ball the entire time. At least that's what I'm assuming. So, I mean, it sounded like, too, that, you know what, they're going to look for running back unless they think good old Frank Gore is the guy to go. And you know what, Frank Gore's been probably one of the best running backs, one of the better running backs for the last decade, I guess you could say. I mean, the dude almost had 1,000 yards this past season, and I feel like Frank Gore's kind of like a dinosaur, I feel. I mean, the dude's been around for so long, but nonetheless, I mean, as far as who got the better hire, I'm not sure. All right. I'm not sure. I mean, we all know what happened with Josh McDaniels as far as being the head coach for the Denver Broncos. Really didn't work out at all, and he skedaddled his way back to New England. All right. With New England, obviously that offense played well, and I mean, with or without Josh McDaniels, that offense is going to be just fine in New England, all right? And I think that Josh McDaniels just pretty much told the Colts never mind just because of the fact that Bill Belichick's going to be offering him the job once he retires, whether that be after this year or the year after. Maybe just McDaniels just loves being an offensive coordinator for the Patriots. But nonetheless, going back to Frank Reich, I mean, the Eagles offense played extremely well this season, like I said. I think it's more, I don't think you can really judge it off of being a better hire. All right, both had the top some of the top offenses in the league, and I think it's more just the fact that it's not that the Colts hired someone better; it's that they hired a good coach. All right, and I think that it's more the media trying to spin the narrative, trying to save the Colts here as far as what they did and how they got duped by Josh McDaniels by him going back. I mean, I don't think there's much of a difference between the two. I mean, Frank Reich has never been a head coach. All right, Josh McDaniels has been a head coach. I mean, you can't really tell who's the better hire until you see them coach. All right, I mean, let's look at it this way. All right, we're saying it now that Frank Reich is the better hire. That's what pretty much what the consensus has been. What if Frank Reich just doesn't work out in Indy and it's pretty much just a dumpster fire from the beginning? People aren't going to be saying, oh, yeah, they made the right hire, right? You're going to be saying, oh, Colts pretty much, they could have had a good one, but it'll be spun, all right? That's what I'm trying to say. It'll be spun, all right, from the Colts hiring the better coach out of McDaniels and Reich. All right, if he doesn't work out there, then it's going to be, oh, the Colts really didn't have a choice or anything like that because their first choice left them. So, I mean, the Colts really aren't, this is where they're protected by the media right here, where one coach leaves them, so they really don't have a choice. You could spin it either way. If Reich works out, then, I mean, I guess Jim Irsay looks like a genius, or Chris Ballard, whoever made the move. I mean, John Irsay is more like a Dan Gilbert figure to me, so at least I feel. But nonetheless, I mean, I think it's a good hire for the Colts. I mean, the Eagles had a solid offense, and I like the way Reich was talking during his press conference. I think it's going to be nice for Andrew Luck, and like I said, if they dress Saquon Barkley, it's going to be even better for him. Don't really need Luck to be throwing the ball too much. All right, so I think it's going to work out well there. All right, but let's talk a bit about franchise cultures, okay? We're going to talk a bit about the Patriots and pretty much just give my thoughts on it. All right, so Lane Johnson was on the Part of My Take podcast. That's a Barstool Sports podcast, and I was listening to, and he said that he thinks that the Patriots, and he wasn't really trying to start controversy or anything like that, but he did say that he feels like the Patriots are more of like a fear-based organization to where you show up to work and you're not really having too much fun. And he said he enjoys playing for the Eagles where, I mean, yeah, they've only won one Super Bowl, but his, like, going to work is fun, you know? So he said, like, that was one of the better things about it for them. And like I said, people, like, on ESPN and everywhere else are saying that, pretty much trying to spin it, all right? Trying to turn it into Wizzy Ride or anything like that. You got Teddy Bruschi on NFL Live, I think it was, or on a radio show. I can't remember exactly saying that Lane Johnson doesn't really know what he's talking about, and that playing for the Patriots is fun when you're winning all the time. And it got me thinking about it too, all right? Because look at it this way. The Patriots, yeah, they'd really run a no-nonsense type of team. And their culture is unlike any other in the NFL. I mean, it's pretty much you're going to work, okay? It's not like you're playing football. You're not playing a game or anything like that, having fun, all right? The Patriots treat it as, you know what, this is your 9-to-5 type job. Obviously, it's not 9-to-5, like, I'm talking like in general terms, I guess you could say, and specifically. All right, so you treat it like it's a 9-to-5 job. You go in, you do your job, you get out. All right, no need for fun or anything like that. You're there to do a job. You're there to win games. And I think with teams like the Eagles, you got it to where, you know what? Let me put it this way, all right? The Patriots take themselves extremely seriously, all right? It's like with journalists, all right? Beat writers covering teams, writing stories about who's playing, who's not. Some of them realize that, you know what, we're just watching other people do their job, and we're writing about it. Others think that they're doing, I mean, the president's type work, all right? They think that they pretty much taking themselves seriously, and I think that's what the Patriots do. They take themselves seriously, and they think that playing football, obviously the NFL, like I said, it is a job and stuff like that, but the Patriots take it as if that's like a corporate type job, all right? You're out there, not really there to have fun. You're there to do your assignments, read the playbook, all right, and pretty much practice until the game comes and finish out your job is there. All right, I feel with other teams, again, I'm not no expert or anything like that. This, not behind the scenes or anything, all right? I'm just one guy talking behind a little microphone. All right, and I think with teams like the Eagles, you see it more. They understand. It's just a game. All right, yeah, you're getting paid. Yeah, it's a job. But, I mean, the culture could be a little bit laid back. All right? And you know what? The Patriots culture, like I said, it did get them 5 Super Bowls, so they are doing something right. The Eagles only have 1, but nonetheless, I do get where Lane Johnson is coming from. Everyone's getting paid to do a job in the NFL, all right? And I feel like Lane Johnson was saying more. He's not trying to knock the Patriots or anything like that, or maybe he was, and I'm just misinterpreting it. But nonetheless, I think Lane Johnson's saying that he'd rather be playing for a team like the Eagles. I get it. I mean, you want to show up to work. You don't want to show up to work and pretty much hate your job. All right? I mean, you got players coming, leaving the Patriots saying, yeah, they got better and stuff like that, but it wasn't really that fun. It's more intense type of culture, and I get that too. I mean, I'm sure going out playing for the Patriots would be a bit of fun because you're always out there playing in the biggest games of the year, right? Always in the AFC Championship and pretty much playing for the Super Bowl every other year, it feels like. So, I mean, it works out well for them. But nonetheless, I think I kind of side with Lane Johnson, right? Because it's kind of my mentality, all right? I understand, like, let's put it this way. Making a lot of money and not having fun at your job is like working for the Patriots, playing for the Patriots, all right? Being a guy who's got a couple of podcasts, writes a bit on the side and all that is like playing for the Eagles, all right? Obviously, as a blogger and as a podcast guy, unless you make it big with companies like ESPN, you're not going to be really making too much money, but you enjoy it. I'd rather, be enjoying my job rather than getting paid tons of money and pretty much hate my job. And I'm saying this now because, I'm only 21. I don't know what it's like, but someone hands me like $100,000 check or $1 million check. I might change my mind there to do something else. But nonetheless, I feel like I understand where Lane Johnson is coming from, and I do kind of agree with what he's saying. But nonetheless, everyone's going to have their different opinion on it. All right, some are going to be like, yeah, I want to go out and win if that requires me to have a little less fun and pretty much take it a whole lot more serious. And I'm not saying the Eagles take it less serious than anyone else or anything like that, but you should get what I'm saying by now. All right, it's pretty much you go in and there's no real fun to it. You're going out, you're doing a job to win games. As far as the Eagles, where you can win games, all right, you're not going to be as dominant as teams like the Patriots. Not going to have a dynasty or anything like that, but you're going to win games and maybe get a Super Bowl or two out the way. And I get that too. So, it's a whole lot more fun probably doing it that way. But like I said, there's multiple opinions to this story here. I'm not even sure if it's a real story. It's more of like a situation, like topic discussion, I guess you could say. So, I see where both are coming from. Personally, if I had to choose to play for one, I'd probably play for the Eagles rather than the Patriots. Just because, it's more laid back with the Eagles, and you still got a good team there. So I get what Lane Johnson is saying. I get what Teddy Bruschi is saying. But that's all I got to say about that. All right, next up, we're going to be talking about the NBA games from Monday. Going to recap those. And then later on in the fourth segment, we'll be talking about anything else going on in sports. All right. The Warriors did something in their game yesterday that pretty much I don't think any other team does in the NBA or has ever done. So we'll be doing that, talk about anything else, and pretty much making my picks for tonight's game. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. All right, so far on the show, we talked about pretty much what happened over the weekend. Talked a bit about the Olympics. Talked about Chloe Kim, Shaun White a bit. All right, can't wait for hockey to start there. And we talked about LeBron, his new look team, and everyone else. For the second segment, we talked NFL. We talked about Josh McDaniels, Frank Reich. Talked about how he's going to become the head coach of the Colts now officially. Yes, he did sign, and yes, it is official. All right, don't got to worry about that. And we talked about different team cultures, right? Talked about the Patriots culture, what they got going on over there, and talked about pretty much every other NFL team and how their culture is different from there. And talked about what would be better, I guess, to work for and all that. And pretty much, I guess, I don't want to say I took both sides of it, but nonetheless, I understand Lane Johnson saying that Patriots, he'd rather be playing for a team like the Eagles rather than a fear-based organization like the Patriots. All right, it makes sense. All right, obviously there's some payoffs to working for the Patriots. You win Super Bowls, and there's some payoffs to working with the Eagles. You win a Super Bowl, and you have a good time doing it. But nonetheless, I don't know. I'm not playing in the NFL anytime soon, so I'm not too worried about it. Just wanted to give my little 2 cents on it. All right, for this segment, we're going to be talking about the NBA games from Monday night, so let's get into it. All right, we have the New Orleans Pelicans heading into Detroit, and Detroit is slipping. All right, New Orleans won this one 118-103. For the Pelicans, you had Anthony Davis with 38 points, 10 rebounds, 14-24 shooting, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Rajon Rondo had 8 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 of 8 shooting that one, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Rondo did have a triple-double over the weekend. I think the Pelicans, I can't remember who was against, but they had a game going to double overtime, and Rondo was pretty much the old Rondo there. All right, you had Drew Holiday with 21 points, 12 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 8 of 16, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. Nikolai Mirotic off the bench, he had 21 points, 12 rebounds, 7 of 16 shooting, 4 of 8 from the three-point line. And look who's got to start in this one. You had Emeka Okafor with 8 points, 7 rebounds, 4-10 shooting. I'm almost positive that's the Emeka Okafor who got drafted by the Bobcats, I think, 7 years ago, I feel. It's got to be, I can't remember exactly, obviously, because it happened a while ago. But nonetheless, look at him out here starting for a potential playoff team. Let me see where the Pelicans are currently at. They're currently the 8th seed, up a game and a half on the, actually up a half game on the Clippers. So, Okafor is going to have to be producing in this one in order to keep his spot there because, the Pelicans really can't mess around if they want to make the playoffs here. All right, as for the Pistons, though, you had Blake Griffin with 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 8 of 17, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Not the best game from Reggie Bullock, only 14 points, 4 rebounds, shot 4 of 13, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Stanley Johnson had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 3 of 7, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Andre Drummond, he had 13 points, 21 rebounds, shot 4 of 12, and Ish Smith had 11 points in that one. All right. The Pistons started off, 4-5-0 with Blake Griffin when they traded for him, and since then have lost 3 in a row, I believe. Yeah, 3 in a row, and they need to figure it out. All right, I understand it's just a little, a 3-game losing streak, but nonetheless, now they're 3 games back of the Miami Heat for that 8th spot. All right, the Heat and Sixers currently have similar records. Both are about 9.5 games back of the Toronto Raptors, who are currently in first, and I'm not sure if the Raptors are going to be able to maintain that, but nonetheless, Raptors are a good team. But getting back to the Pistons, they're 3 games back of the 8th seed now. And I really hope that their plan of, I guess you could say, waiting for Reggie Jackson to come back and pretty much help boost his team up is going to work. Because nonetheless, I get trading for Blake Griffin. Maybe they're trying to plot for a bigger move in the offseason. But, you're going to need some to work. Not making the playoffs after making this trade is going to be real disappointing for this team. And like I said, Blake Griffin has made them play well ever since he got there, but they're just going to have to figure out a way to get to the playoffs, all right? If they do that, then it works out fine. If not, then like I said, hopefully they got some rolled up for their sleeve in the offseason because, Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, they could get you to the playoffs, but that's it. They're just getting you to the playoffs. You're not fighting with the teams like the Cavs, Celtics, Raptors, or even the Wizards for that matter, even the Bucks for that matter, even the Pacers for that matter with only those 2 guys. You're going to have to do some in the offseason. I'm sure they got some type of plan, but we'll see how it all ends up. As for the next game, we had the New York Knicks facing off with the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Knicks lost this one 108-92. For the Knicks, you had Michael Beasley with 22 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 9 of 17. Dude's been having quite the season so far. All right, you had Tim Hardaway Jr. with the poor game here, shooting only 4 of 16, 0 of 8 from the three-point line, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, only 9 points. Enes Kanter with 17 points, 13 rebounds, shot 5 of 10. Off the bench, you had Emmanuel Mudiay with 7 points, 4 rebounds, shot 3 of 7. Then for the Sixers, you had Dario Saric with 24 points, 4 rebounds, shot 8 of 12, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. Robert Covington with 13 points, 5 rebounds, shot 5 of 11. Joel Embiid, he had 17 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 12, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. Ben Simmons, he had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 6 of 8 from the field. JJ Redick with 18 points, hit 3 out of his 6 threes there. And then TJ McConnell. No one really talks about him too much. I'm not sure why, but the guy is one of the better backup point guards in the league, if not the best. I can't name him off the top of my head right now. You got guys like Terry Rozier who are really solid in the league as far as backup point guards go. And let's see, who else? I can't really think of too many. I guess Emmanuel Mudiay, you could consider him a backup point guard now since he's backing up for the Knicks. But nonetheless, TJ McConnell, getting to the point, he had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, shot 5-11. And as you know, 10, 10, and 10 gets you at least 10, 10, and 10 gets you a triple-double. So the dude played well. All right, you got guys like Joel Embiid, congratulate him on Instagram, talking about how great player and stuff like that. So, the Sixers, they got this whole Markelle Fultz thing they need to deal with still. There's more stuff coming out, how he's trying to fix his shot with virtual reality goggles and all that. It's pretty much just a mess. But nonetheless, at least you got a guy like TJ McConnell who can come off the bench and lead that second unit. All right, not sure really what's going to go on with Markelle Fultz, but like I said, at least you got TJ McConnell. Let's see. Let's talk about the Clippers heading into Brooklyn, all right? The Clippers won that one 114-101. Danilo Gallinari with 16 points, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 9, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Tobias Harris, he had 10 points, 8 rebounds, shot 4 of 12. Hit 1-3 in that one. DeAndre Jordan had 16 points, 17 rebounds, shot 8 of 11. Austin Rivers, he had 17 points, shot 8 of 13. Austin Rivers gets no respect because the dude plays for his dad, and no one likes a coach's son. I'll tell you that much right there. I played with plenty of coaches' sons. No one likes them, all right? Sometimes it's not even their fault. It just has to do with the fact that, you know what, you're the coach's son, okay? And Austin Rivers, I think that overshadows him a bit too much because of the fact Austin Rivers has been having a sneaky good season so far this year. Yeah, he's been injured a little bit, but nonetheless, the dude has been playing well. All right, so let's take the heat off of Austin Rivers a bit, give him some respect, and Yeah, he's the coach's son, but nonetheless, I mean, the dude's out here balling. It's not like he's like one of the worst players on the team or anything like that. All right, the dude's been playing well. You had Avery Bradley with 11 points, 4 of 11 shooting, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. Montrezl Harrell, one of the players I'm really looking out for. The dude plays well a lot for the Clippers, off the bench especially. He had 15 points, 2 rebounds, shot 6 of 6. I gotta imagine, I mean, about at least 5 of those were dunks. Let's see, off the bench, also you had Lou Williams with 20 points, 4 assists, shot 8 of 16, 0 of 4 from the 3-point line. Lou Williams, I'm happy for him, all right? You can tell he's really excited about signing a 3-year deal with the Clippers because of the fact that, you know what, Lou Williams has bounced from team to team to team in his NBA career, and he's finally got a nice little home, at least for the near future. I mean, you can't really trust the Clippers. I mean, they gave Blake Griffin that little 5-year extension in the offseason, pretended to hang his jersey up in the rafters, talk about how they wanted him to be a Clipper for life, and then they did the worst thing possible. They shipped him to Detroit. I guess that's not the worst thing possible. They could have shipped him to Sacramento, because I know that's like what's the worst place in the NBA according to players. But nonetheless, I mean, Clippers did him dirty. But that's all done and over with. As for the Nets, though, you had DeMarre Carroll with 12 points, 10 rebounds, shot 5 of 15, 2 of 7 from the 3-point line. Spencer Dinwiddie with 13 points, 8 assists, 4 of 13 shooting, 4 of 7 from the 3-point line. Allen Crabbe with 15 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 13, 2 of 6 from the 3-point line. And then you had D'Angelo Russell off the bench with 16 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 7 of 17, 1 of 7 from the 3-point line. This dude did not take a 3 in that game. He would have been 6 for 10. I mean, if it's not hitting from 3, maybe you should stop taking the shots. But, I mean, I'm looking at Jahlil Okafor's stat line right now. He only played 13 minutes. He did go have 7 points, 4 rebounds, shot 3 of 3. I'm not sure really what's going on with Jahlil Okafor. I mean, it was more he was trying to say that he wasn't being as productive because the Sixers weren't playing him. And, like, the Nets aren't playing him either. And he's not really doing too much, I guess you could say. I guess you could say he's playing better, but like he's not in the starting lineup or doing anything. So, I don't know. Jahlil Okafor is a bit of a weird play. He's not even playing like big minutes off the bench too, is what I'm trying to get at. Like he's like playing 13, 15 minutes a game. That's it. More of a role player type. And I mean, I don't know. Jahlil Okafor's had a bit of a weird career. But as for the next game, you had the Orlando Magic facing off with the Chicago Bulls. And the Chicago Bulls won that one 105-101. For the Magic, you had not Ben Simmons, you had Jonathan Simmons with 14 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 6 of 16. Evan Fournier with 22 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 9 of 15, 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. Bismack Biyombo with 10 points, 4 rebounds. I mean, I'm sure the Magic are really regretting giving him that big money contract. I mean, he's not getting paid like a top player in the league or anything like that, but nonetheless, they paid him for probably more production than he's giving him right now. And Biyombo, I'm not trying to say he's been bad, but he really hasn't been probably what they thought he was when he was with the Raptors for that little playoff run they had. I'm not even sure if you call it a playoff run when you're getting bounced in the second round every year, but nonetheless, I mean, just really, I don't know. He's doing fine, I guess you could say. Maybe I'm just being a bit picky. Then you had Hezonja with 24 points, 6 rebounds, 8 of 14 shooting, 3 of 4 from the 3-point line. Guy's been having a nice little season so far this year. And then for the Bulls, you had Baby Dirk, Larry Markkinen with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 9 of 19 shooting, 0 of 6 from the 3-point line. Jerian Grant with 14 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 6 of 9. Zach LaVine, he had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. I believe he did have the game-winning steal off of an inbounds play and dunked it in, which made it 103-101. At least that did help seal the game. If anything, I know that. Then you had Bobby Portis off the bench, one of my personal favorite players, with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 8 of 17 shooting, 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. And you know what? You're gonna hear me say it a lot, but I do have a lot of players that I like in the NBA. So if I call him like one of my favorites, I mean, it's not they're my favorite, like the favorite player of my choice. That'd be Boogie Cousins, but nonetheless, I got other guys I like watching too. So just so you don't think I'm going from picking player to player like a bandwagon type or anything like that. All right. As for the San Antonio Spurs, though, they hit it to Utah and took the L in this one. All right, the Utah Jazz won this one 101-99. You had Kyle Anderson with 16 points for the Spurs, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 5 of 12. Pau Gasol, 15 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 6 of 14. No LaMarcus Aldridge in this one, back in San Antonio, getting treatment on his knee, not for an injury or anything like that, just pretty much maintenance, looking after it. And then you had Danny Green with 13 points, 5 rebounds, shot 4 of 9, and 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. And as for the Utah Jazz, you had Derek Favors with 19 points, 7 rebounds, shot 6 of 9 from the field. Joe Ingles having quite the season so far this year, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 7 of 13, 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. Donovan Mitchell out here taking 28 shots, making 9 of them, 3 of 9 from the 3-point line shooting, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, scored 25 points. And then you had Jay Crowder with another good game, 14 points, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 11, and 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. Played 33 minutes, so I'm happy for Jay Crowder, getting a nice little roll with the Jazz here. And as for the final game of the night, you had the Phoenix Suns facing off with the Golden State Warriors, and the Warriors won this one easily, 129-83. All right, for the Suns, you had T.J. Warren with 14 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 18. Josh Jackson, 8 points, 4 rebounds, only shot 4 of 18. Not a great game from him. The Elfrid Payton with 29 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 11 of 18, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Nice game for him. As for the Warriors, you had Kevin Durant with 17 points, had 7 rebounds. Let's see, you have Kevin Durant, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 8 of 9 from the field. That one only hit 1 3, only shot 1 3, so a very efficient game from him. Steph Curry with 22 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 8 of 17, 3 of 9 from the three-point line. Klay Thompson, 16 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. And off the bench, you had Nick Young, Swaggy P, with 16 points, 3 rebounds, shot 5 of 10, and 3 of 7 from the three-point line. We're going to talk more about the Warriors in the next segment, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far in today's show, we talked about pretty much whatever went over the weekend. Talked about a little tiny bit about the Olympics, all right? Okay, Olympics are just starting, so as it goes on, we'll give a little bit more coverage to it. All right, let's see what else we talked about. We talked about the Colts getting their new head coach. Talked about, whether or not it's a better hire than getting a guy like McDaniels, but that's all pretty much just media trying to do their narratives and stuff like that. Talked about team cultures a bit. And let's see, third segment, we talked about the NBA games from Monday. And for this segment, we're going to talk a bit about the Warriors, what they did against the Suns. I'm going to talk a little bit about Johnny Football, good old Johnny Manziel. Going to talk a bit about him. And let's see, anything else going on in sports? So yeah, Champions League, we'll talk about a couple of games going on today. And let's see, what else? We'll make my picks for the games going on tonight in the NBA. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the Warriors since we finished the last segment off with them. All right, so as you know, Warriors blew out the Suns yesterday, and what I want to talk a bit about is the fact that Steve Kerr was pretty much letting the players coach the team yesterday. All right, during the timeouts and all that, players would be running the plays, making the plays, and all that. People were talking about how maybe it's a little disrespectful that Kerr was having the players run the game yesterday and having them coach. All right, how pretty much showing no respect to a team like the Suns, how they wouldn't do that against top teams. And you know what? I have absolutely no problem with this whatsoever, all right? I'm fine with Draymond Green calling plays. I'm fine with Andre Iguodala calling plays. I'm fine with the players calling plays, all right? If anything, I'll tell you this is genius, all right? Steve Kerr, after the game, said he was having a hard time getting to the players. It's a long season, all right? Every day, someone's in your ear day after day. Eventually, you're gonna get tired of hearing it, all right? But Steve Kerr found out a way to get his players back, ready, and engaged again. All right, he did that by having them coach. He said that he had them run practice the other day, had them run the shoot around, had them run the game or the film session and all that. So he's been having the players pretty much run things for this upcoming game against the Suns, and he had finished it off by having them call plays during timeouts, pretty much run the team for the game, and I like it. All right, Steve Kerr was also saying that he's trying to get the players to realize that this is their team, it's not his team, and it's not the front office team or anything like that. And Steve Kerr is smart. All right, you want your team to play well, put the power in your players. All right, it's like this translates to the NFL too. All right, I hate seeing when coaches will go to a new team and they'll try and have players fit to their scheme. No, that's the wrong way to go about it. You fit your scheme to your players. All right, you play to their strengths. That's what Bill Belichick does. Okay, he knows he's got to figure it out. That's why the Patriots go to the Super Bowl almost every other year, I feel. All right, so as far as Steve Kerr having his players coach against the Suns, is it disrespectful? If you take it that way, it's only disrespectful. It's only bad, I guess, if you feel it is. All right. But if you look more into it and you like, and you know what? It is the Suns. It's okay to do something like this against the Suns because the Suns are a bad team. All right. I mean, the players ran the game, and the Warriors won by pretty much 40, I think it was, or nearly that. All right. Again, I know I was talking about the score in the last segment, but I can't remember it off the top of my head for some reason. But nonetheless, I mean, the Warriors still won this game by about 40. All right. So it's not a problem that Steve Kerr is having his players run the show or anything like that. I think that's smart. All right, like I said, the season's long. Keep your players engaged, and I'm sure it's a whole lot more fun with them running the show for one game. All right, obviously you're not going to do this against the Celtics, the Cavs, or the Rockets or anything like that. But I mean, you can afford to do this against the Suns because it's the Suns. And writers and analysis shouldn't be getting mad at this because, the Suns coach didn't even care. Devin Booker said it was cool. Jared Dudley got in his feelings a bit, saying it's disrespectful, but maybe they deserve to be disrespected because they lose by 40 every game. But other than that, I mean, if the other team and players are fine with it, then let them be fine with it. You don't got to get mad over something that the other team isn't mad over. So I like what he did there. I thought it was smart, and I thought it was a bit of a fun thing too. I was scrolling through Twitter, and I saw, wait, they did what? He handed Andre Iguodala the clipboard, and you see Andre Iguodala drawing up a play there. So I like what Steve Kerr is doing. The dude's a genius out there in Oakland. Going to be San Francisco soon. I mean, I don't really like the fact that they're going to San Francisco. Tickets are going to be so overpriced now that they're over there, right? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. All right, I'm just going to keep my opinions to myself. But nonetheless, I like what the Warriors are doing. Smart team there. Let's talk a little bit about Jonathan Football Manziel. All right. He's trying to make his comeback. And I am 100% rooting for him. All right, listen to a couple of interviews for him. He had one on the Part of My Take podcast, Barstool Sports. And, I mean, it sounds like, again, this is just an interview. It could be just a little PR campaign to get himself back out there. But it sounded like the dude finally got his head on straight, all right? As we know, Johnny Manziel had a bit of an alcohol problem. At least that's what he said and all that. And didn't really think too much of Cleveland. Didn't like the situation he was in and really said he felt entitled about it. And again, he was saying this like after thinking back to all of it in the interview he did. And let's see, what else did he say in the interview? Pretty much said that he's trying to thinks he's young enough to where he can pretty much jumpstart his career again. I think he can. I mean, let's remember, Johnny Football, all right, Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. I'm young, all right, I'm only 21. I didn't get to see Herschel Walker or anything or any of those guys or anything like that. So to me, Johnny Manziel is probably the best college football player I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just telling you from my experience, all right? Like, again, I've never seen those other guys play or anything like that, but watching Johnny Manziel play for Texas A&M was the best thing ever, all right? I'll take him over Tebow. I'll take him over Matt Leinart. I'll take him over Reggie Bush, all those guys. Watching Johnny Manziel was the funnest thing to do on Saturdays, all right? Watching him be Bama, watching him almost be Bama the second year, all right? The dude was ridiculous. First true freshman to win the Heisman, was just out there doing whatever he wanted. The most fun player to watch at the quarterback position probably in all of college football ever for me. All right. What he was doing at the quarterback position was what Reggie Bush was doing at the running back position for USC. I mean, the dude was just making all kinds of crazy plays. I remember I had NCAA 13, the football game. I think it was 13 or 12, the one with Barry Sanders on the cover. I mean, Johnny Manziel was unstoppable in that game. All right. The dude, like Johnny Manziel at that time, was just on top of the world. And I thought he was going to do well in Cleveland, honestly. I thought he did. I should say. All right. But like I said, he didn't have his priorities straight. And again, I'm just telling you what he told the Part of My Take people on his interview. Right, just didn't have his priorities straight and really didn't took it for granted. All right, that's pretty much what it was. So now he's trying to make a comeback. All right, trying to make it back to the NFL. And he said that for certain he does have a contract and he will be playing football this season. I think that's going to be in the CFL. And you know how ESPN sometimes televises those CFL games? If I'm ESPN, I'm televising every Johnny Manziel football game, all right? And you know what? Me being the fan, I will watch every Johnny Manziel Canadian football game. I don't care if it's on a Friday. I don't care if it's on a Monday at 4 o'clock in the morning, which I know it'll never be or anything like that. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to tell you, I will watch, all right? Dude was one of the best college football players of all time, all right? And I think it's going to work out for him if he's really got his head on straight. I mean, the dude wasn't a bad quarterback by any means. When he was with the Browns, I mean, he had 3 wins with them. And since then, they've only had like 2 or 1, I think. So, I mean, Johnny Manziel, probably the best quarterback the Browns have, like, ever since Johnny Manziel left, the Browns have been a dumpster fire quarterback. So, I mean, I hope it works out for him. But like I said, I mean, he's going to be making his comeback, or at least that's what he's saying. He did say he's going to, like, it's guaranteed he's going to be playing somewhere this season, whether it be in the CFL, NFL, or maybe anywhere else. But nonetheless, can't wait for the Johnny Manziel comeback, all right? Let's talk a bit about Champions League. All right. First game up, we had FC Basel playing against Manchester City, and this game pretty much went as well as it could for Basel. They lost 4-0. I mean, Manchester City is playing like a team. I mean, they're the best team, one of the best teams in the world right now. I don't think they've lost in the Premier League yet, and they're probably the second best team in the world right behind Barcelona. If I had to make a pick right now, I'd probably say that Barcelona and Manchester City are going to be playing each other in the final, and that'd be a fun final right there. You got Pep Guardiola facing his old team in Barcelona, see what he's going to do against Lionel Messi as far as game planning against him and stuff like that. That's one final I want to see. And then for the second game, again, earlier in the show, I did say that at the time, Juventus was beating Tottenham 2-1. And at one point, the game was 2-0. Like the first 10 minutes, the game was 2-0. And look at what we have here. Tottenham came back and tied the game 2-2, finished there. Big result for Tottenham there, all right? For those that aren't familiar with Champions League or how it's scoring, away goals are huge, right? Because if you're tied on, like you play 2 games in each knockout round until the final, and if it's tied, let's say you play the 2 games and the total score is like 4-4 or whatever, whoever has the most away goals advances, and Tottenham scored 2 away goals, all right? This was huge for them. Now they're going to be playing in a couple weeks at Wembley, and all they need is 1 goal. You get 1 goal, and Juventus has to score at least 2, all right? So, yeah, pretty much Tottenham gets 1 at Wembley next time they play. Juventus has to get 2. Tottenham gets 2 goals. Juventus has to score 3. All right, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But as for this game, I mean, Juventus pretty much was on it from the get-go. From the first 10 minutes, I mean, they were up 10-0. Higuain had 2 goals. But after that, I mean, Tottenham was putting the pressure on them the entire time. The first goal Harry Kane scored, which came in the 35th minute. All right, you had Tottenham who were pressuring Juventus the entire first half. Juventus couldn't play with the ball out the back. All right, couldn't really build up from there, and they kept losing the ball. And eventually, I was like, this is going to come back to hurt them, and it's not going to work. All right, and sure enough, they messed up. Tottenham takes the ball, goes down. Harry Kane gets the ball, gets through the defense, circles around Buffon, and scores. And then in the 71st minute, Tottenham's got a free kick right outside the 18, and what do? They score. Christian Eriksen hits it low under the wall, and they got in. So, I mean, big game from Tottenham here. Looked like it was going to be typical Tottenham Hotspur, losing 2-0, and they were just going to get blown out in this one, but nonetheless, they came back. This is a new Tottenham team here, all right? Beat Arsenal the other day. Big game from them there. Drew with Liverpool 2-2 a couple weeks ago, or last week I think it was, and then they beat Manchester United the week before, I think 2-0. So I mean they've been on a nice little string of games here. All right. So I mean, like I said, the next game's going to be in Wembley. I think the game's going on tomorrow. We got Porto versus Liverpool. That's going to be a nice little fun one. Then you got Real Madrid versus PSG. That's going to be an even better one there. You got a guy like Neymar who's going to be playing against Real Madrid, but could be going to that team in the summer. So we'll see how that all ends up. So let's finish off the show by making my picks for tonight's games. All right. First up, we got the Miami Heat facing off with the Toronto Raptors, and this game is in Toronto, so I'm going to go with the Raptors in this one. The Heat are currently the 8th seed, about like I said, 3.5 games up on the Pistons, I believe. 3 or 3.5. Can't remember exactly, but nonetheless, I mean, they really have nothing to lose in this one. So I'm going to go with the Raptors. They've been playing good basketball, going to keep try and sustain that little number 1 seed, lead that they got. Then we got the Hawks facing off with the Bucks. This is an easy one. I'm going with the Bucks a million times out of a million, especially because it's at home. Then we got the Rockets facing off with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This one's in Minnesota. This one's a bit of a tough one. Houston's favored by 2.5, but I'm still going to go with Houston. I don't know. This one's tough. Let me circle around. All right? I'm not going to make that pick yet. All right. Then we got the Cavs facing off with the Thunder. OKC is favored in this one. Thunder are not currently, they are the home team in this game. And you know what? Do I want to go with the new look Cavs? This one's going to be on TNT, so I'll definitely be watching this one. I'm going to go. I'm not sure. Let me see if I could find out if Melo and Russell Westbrook are playing in this one. They have to be playing if OKC is favored. If they weren't favored, and I highly doubt that Westbrook would be playing in this one. Let's see if I can find it out. I'm not sure. I think they're all day to day right now. But if they're favored, they gotta. Let me put it this way. All right. If Westbrook and Melo are playing, then I'm going with the Thunder. If they're not playing, then I'm going with the Cavs. All right. Yeah, I can do that. Believe it or not. Then for the next game, we got the Sacramento Kings facing off with the Dallas Mavericks. Couple of the worst teams in the league went off against each other. I'm going to go with the Kings. They've been playing good basketball. I think they're going to be able to pull out the little upset win here because Dallas is favored by 6.5, so I got the Kings winning this one. Then we got the San Antonio Spurs facing off with the Denver Nuggets on TNT. Nuggets are a really good home team. They're 22-7. No LaMarcus Aldridge in this one for the Spurs because, like I said, he's going to be in San Antonio getting treatment for his knee. I'm going to go with the Nuggets in this one. They're favored by 5.5 as they should be, all right? I think they're going to play well. So let's go back to that Timberwolves and Rockets game. Let's see. I had some time to think. Not really because I'll talk about other games, but I'm going to go with the Timberwolves, all right? I'm going to go with the upset here. I think the Timberwolves are going to be able to pull it out. Not really using my head here, more going with my gut. So let me recap the picks. I got the Raptors beating the Heat, Bucks beating the Hawks, Timberwolves beating the Rockets, the Thunder, if they have Westbrook with Melo, beating the Cavs. And I have the Cavs winning if Westbrook and Melo aren't playing, all right, if that makes any sense. Then I got the Kings beating the Mavericks and the Nuggets beating the Spurs. Made 2 upset picks today. That's the Kings over the Mavericks and the Timberwolves over the Rockets. Hopefully I'm right. We'll see about it. But that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked about what happened over the weekend, talked a bit about the Olympics. Like I said, as the days go on, the Olympics will get bigger, and we'll talk more about it as we get more to the finals of each sport that's being played. Talked a bit about the NFL, talked about different team cultures, talked about the Colts getting their new head coach. Let's see what else we talked about. Talked about the NBA games from last night, and for this segment, talked about the Warriors letting their players coach yesterday against the Suns. Talked a bit about Johnny Manziel, and made my picks for the games going on tonight, and also talked Champions League. So it was a bit of a fun show. So that's going to wrap it up for the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.